What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer from blueandgold.com with former Notre Dame defensive end Ade Ogundeji. Man, big time player from Notre Dame. Entering the NFL draft. So we're going to talk about all things with your draft process. But let's first take it back to your recruitment. So you picked Notre Dame back in the class of 2016. Fast forward 5 years later. Did the reasons you picked Notre Dame kind of live up to the expectations and what you were told about Notre Dame? Like, just tell me about that.
Yeah, it was a little different. I mean, obviously for me, my recruiting process kind of happened late with Notre Dame. Uh, I originally committed to Western Michigan going into my junior year because they were the only school to offer me. So I kind of took it right away. Didn't think anything less of it, anything more of it. Just took it. And then as I went through, I decided, going to camps was probably my best move for me. And I was able to. My team went to a 7-on-7 camp at Notre Dame every single year. I decided to go to the big man camp, and then I went there. Was able to show what I could do against some really good guys, and they talked to the coaches after that. And then that was it for that day. And then next couple of days later, I got a call saying that they were going to offer me, and went in there with my parents or with my dad and took a week to figure it out. And after that, I really just decided that that was school for me. And speaking on the place, I think it was a little different for me. I didn't really know a lot about Notre Dame. I know a lot of people who committed there knew a lot about their tradition and everything. I wasn't really huge on Notre Dame. I was actually a huge Michigan fan going on. I was in high school. So I knew nothing about really the football and academic side of it. But going there, I think the one thing that really stuck out to me was just the resources they had and the people. I think the people were great over there. I mean, the friends that I have a lot of friends on the team. Obviously, they're going to be brothers for life. But the guys who I've met off the field have been even better. Those guys are great guys to hang out with, and you get that from Notre Dame. You get in the classroom with only 20 people, 15 people, and most of them are not on the team. So you get to have the experiences with people who are from different areas, from all over the country and all over the world, really. And I think that's a special place, and that's why I really chose Notre Dame was the people, professors, the coaches, the coaching staff, but really just the people there. The resources, tradition was great, but I really truly think the people there is what makes it special.
So you grew up a Michigan fan, and your defensive line coach went to Michigan. So I'm sure those were
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, pretty interesting.
interesting recruiting conversations there. So you signed with Notre Dame in 2016, like I said, also in that class, Dalen Hayes, Julian Okwara, Khalid Kareem. So I mean, I remember that 2019 season. It's like you have a couple starters go down. Well, there wasn't even a drop off. You stepped in, and that the defensive line depth in that 2019 season was just so strong. Tell us
Yeah.
about those other three guys. What was it like that season playing with? I mean, it's going to be four guys in the NFL just from that group.
Yeah, I mean, that was a special group. That class, really, the 2016 class was special. But, I feel like, when you're coming in with four or three different guys, and you can add Jameer, who transitioned to being a defense or drop, it's competitive. And I think that's really what helped me was understanding that it was competitive. Obviously, it was different for me my first year than everybody else. They got to play a little earlier than me, but I think the one thing that was great about those guys were they brought me in to the brotherhood. I mean, we were really close together. We're still really close. Those are my brothers for life. And I learned a lot from Lid, from Julian, from Dalen, from Jameer, to take it onto the field and off the field. So it was a great opportunity to play with them. And we fed off of each other. Anytime Khalid made a play, we were jumping up. Anytime Julian made a play, they were jumping up. Anytime I made a play, they were jumping up for me. So we just fed off of each other. Anytime there was a play, everybody wanted to not only celebrate, but also wanted to make another play. So it was very competitive, and it also just helped our team. Those last 3 years really helped our pass rush. And, we had great players who came along that D line too.
So you came in, like you said, you're formally committed to Western Michigan, a low 3-star guy per Rivals, and kind of tab like a developmental guy. Like, okay, bring him in. He's got these nice traits. Let's develop him. I feel like a lot of time Notre Dame fans hear that and they're like, yeah, like I want the 5-star guy all the time. Well, Dalen Hayes was a 5-star. Like you and Dalen had pretty similar careers there at Notre Dame in terms of
Yeah.
production and talent and everything. So just kind of speak to me as for the development. Like, I mean, looking back at you in 2016, like how much different are you of a player?
Yeah, well, I came in at like 210, so I would say pretty different. I was not that big, so I came in very, very small, like skinny, but I knew what I had to work on, and that was the one thing that I understand. I mean, I really didn't pay attention to anybody who was talking developmental. Obviously, that's a part of it. You gotta get better each and every year. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think that first year definitely like shed light on me. It was like, okay, as soon as I walked in there, they were really like, yeah, you're gonna redshirt. So I knew from that point, I had to get myself stronger and bigger and faster, and take that year to really just get bigger and stronger. And obviously, it was tough seeing everybody else play, but I think it was really beneficial for me for the next 4 years that I was at Notre Dame. To get stronger, get physical, get bigger, and then also, Bayless, when he was showed up, and I was still when I was a freshman, it was an amazing process, an amazing time. So it was great.
All right, so you were at the Senior Bowl. Last couple pictures we showed before that, you at the Senior Bowl. So it's funny. Before we started recording this, I showed you the clips, and you were like, "Oh snap! I haven't even seen that because they're practice clips. We're not able to show due to copyright reasons
Yeah,
the NFL Network footage. So let's pop this back on. Why don't you tell us about your Senior Bowl experience? There's you at I believe at the top of the screen there. This obviously would have been a sack, but just tell us about your Senior Bowl experience.
it was great. It was first off, just want to say thank you to Jim Nagy and his staff for giving me an opportunity. I thought it was a pretty cool experience. It's just great, especially with COVID and everything that's going on, to be able to compete and show what you have in front of scouts on the football field, which is great. And then also get to, interview with these guys face to face, and then also just play with these great players. I mean, there's so many great players that were there, and it was great just to compete with them on a daily. So I enjoyed it. And yeah, I think it was fun. For me, it was a great opportunity to prove myself, to show that I'm not just what most people think developmental. I'm a guy who could really go out there and play at a very high level. So it was a great opportunity for me, and I enjoyed it a ton.
Yeah, good stuff. So, where are you right now? What are you doing? Like, where are you kind of at with this process at this point in time?
Yeah, right now I'm currently in California, so a little sunnier out here. Not used to the snow hitting me anymore. But yeah, I'm in California just training, getting ready for the pro day, which is March 31st, and really just training here and getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and just trying to work on a little some D line work as well. So just been training most of the time, getting, like I said, bigger, stronger, faster, and doing some a couple other things as well.
You training out there with Coach Ed?
I am training with Coach Ed. Yes.
Yeah, so he trains, or he did Devin Alpue, Notre Dame signee in this 2021 class, and he had told us, we interviewed him. He said, I also train Ade Ogundeji. So you mentioned California figured. So just how's that? Like, what are you really working on right now? Like, give us some specifics.
Yeah, I'm kind of just working on, on the D line aspect of it, is working, really just honing in on my craft, and working on the moves that I did in college and really perfecting it. Becoming a technician, a master of the craft, because I think that's really what's important when you get in the league, is becoming a technician and really working on your craft, and perfecting that. And that's what I'm working on with Coach Ed, and also working on a little different moves, so I can have a variety of different things when the time comes. When you're versatile and you can do multiple things at multiple different positions, it's very good. It helps yourself tremendously. So just working on that with Coach Ed, and he's done a great job. He's a great guy, and he's the best at what he does. So
Yeah, good shout out to Ed McGilver at training there.
yeah,
So academically, have you already received your degree? Are you still working on that? Tell us about that.
yeah, I received my degree in May 2020. Obviously, I didn't get a graduation, but the diploma was mailed to my house, so I got that ready, just in case I gotta use it. But yeah, no, it was good. Just to graduate from Notre Dame. I think that's really just ultimately a great accomplishment. I mean, going playing football here is great, but like when you think about the academics that you have to go through on a daily with football, graduating, I applaud all the guys who graduated, and I'm really happy that I got to graduate for not only just me but for my family as well.
Tell us about Mike Elston. What kind of guy is he? What maybe are some things that people don't know about him?
Yeah, well, first you went to Michigan, which kind of sucks, but no, but I think he's a very disciplined guy. He's a very family oriented guy as well. He cares for his players, but he's a guy who's really disciplined. I mean, as soon as we had him as our assistant coach, because I was there with Coach Gilmore first, you could tell he was bringing a disciplined, group of type of ruling into the D line room, and it showed. I mean, it showed on the field. Guys were really living up to that and working on being the best. And then he pushed us. I think that was a big thing for Coach Elston. Is like he always wanted you to be the best every single game. He always wanted you to be productive every single game. There was no times where you could play all right, and he would say it was all right. No, he would tell you like you're not playing good. You got to step it up. You know what I'm saying? And he would always make it a competitive setting. And I think that was great for our D line room, especially because we had, like you said, a lot of great players, especially at defensive end. So you really couldn't back off. You always had to really put the pedal to the metal every single day, not only in games but in practice. So I think it really helped the defensive line room just become competitive, be way more disciplined, and just continue to get better.
What are you going to miss most about Notre Dame? You mentioned earlier a big thing was the teammates. Is that probably the biggest thing for you? Is just going to miss those
Yeah,
guys, seeing them every day.
100% the locker room. I mean, just being with being here my fifth year and being the older guy and looking at the young guys, it really made me understand how much the locker room is, means so much for a team. The culture that the older guys brought, and then the culture that we're continuing to bring, it's amazing at Notre Dame, and you get to really build a relationship that's brotherhood for life. Like I honestly think that any person that I call or try to call right now, they'd pick up the phone for me in a snap of the finger. So I think, you know, just being around guys in the locker room, having that fun, playing in the games and playing in practices, having that time during practices where we're competing against each other, going on one-on-ones and having fun. I think that's the best part
So,
about when I thought about Notre Dame.
so where are you at in the draft process now? Last question for you, and we'll get you out of here. Where are you at in the process? Like, are you able to talk to teams a good bit? Do you have an idea of like the range of potential rounds that you could land in?
Yeah, well, like I said, I really don't think about the rounds. People have their opinions, and obviously, AJ's going to tell me, but I'm not thinking about it until the draft comes. Wherever team drafts me, I'm just going to be happy about that. And then for the interviews, the Senior Bowl, like I said, was such a great opportunity because you were able to sit down with all the teams. Really, I think I sat down with 30 or 31 teams, and you got to sit down with them face to face. So I think that was a huge get just to be at the Senior Bowl and talk to the 30 or 31 teams. And, I think that was a big thing. And then I recently actually had a meeting with the Saints. So mine's pretty much happened really in the Senior Bowl. I got to talk to a lot of the teams, and then the Saints recently. And, I believe, I don't really know yet, but still, I think I still got a couple more meetings. So we'll see.
All right, that's former Notre Dame defensive end Ade Ogundeji, going to be an NFL draftee here in April. Appreciate you coming on and talking about Notre Dame and your draft process, Ade.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.